Well, Jim, I got 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday Wind Down with Dan and Friends, the webinar and YouTube show for frustrated outdoors people. A little less frustrating now, get a few more opportunities to get out, but want to be outdoors, want to get together with friends and drink. So we're doing it a little more virtually. So I'm Dan Conger, I'm the host, and tonight, I've got Makers on the Rocks. It's actually turned to Makers in Water, which is all good. And with me is Jim Curts. Would you introduce yourself and tell us what you're
I'm Jim Curts, and it's Black Butte Porter tonight.
Cheers. Very good. So tonight, Jim's going to talk with us about lightweight backpacking, kind of give us a primer and a little bit of an overview and some of his thoughts on it. And I think that's there's a lot to this. So let me jump in, and we got a couple pictures we wanted to share. So give me a moment. I thought I was ready. Oh, ham it up. Do something. Can you tap dance, Jim?
No, but I could tell a joke, but I don't know any. So
okay, I'm ready now. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the stall.
Okay.
So is this kind of a before and after photo, Jim?
Correct. That first photo, the one on the left, was 2009. That was the year after I took the class.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 70-liter pack. It's so full, the tent is on the outside. And then the picture on the right is the pack I took this year on a 10-day trip with a bear canister. And so my base weight, I'm guesstimating my original base weight. The picture on the left was about 30 pounds. Because when I did desert backpack with my 16 pounds of water and a day and a half's worth of food,
right,
I was just over 50 pounds.
Ouch. Okay.
And so then the pack on the right for 10 days with the bear can, we only had to carry 4 days of food at a time. I was at 31 pounds.
Nice. That's fantastic. And if you just kind of look at the volume, the fact that you don't have crap hanging off the back of it.
Yep.
You know, I can see the green. Is that the tent? You said the tent?
The tent's on on my right side, and then you can see the pad hanging off the back, and I'm sure I had a couple other things on the back. Right.
So a few years of experience and some gear and some attitude change, and that's where you are. That's very cool. So let's talk about the concept of base weight and some categories. So before we get into the categories, what the hell is base weight? What's that all about?
So base weight is everything in your pack except for consumables. So your pack, all your sleeping gear, everything, your water bottles, your food bag. You just don't count the water weight, the food weight, sometimes the fuel weight, and possibly toilet paper or something. You know, those are all consumables.
Okay, so if I'm using a canister stove, by the strictest terms, the fuel in the stove is consumable, but the can is not.
Correct, absolutely.
The can would be in my base weight, where the fuel volume or the weight of the fuel itself.
And so I keep an empty canister just so when I weigh my base weight, I toss that in there, and I put, how many ever water bottles that I was going to carry, I put them in empty, and I weigh the pack.
Okay. So because when I look at this and kind of say 20 pounds, 20 pounds, if I was like, well, I thought I was my gear is pretty light, but there's no way my entire pack weighs ever under 20 pounds. But we're not counting the wet weight, the food, and the things that we just talked about.
Correct.
So that's that difference there. Okay.
Right. And so the thing of it is as you go lightweight, which I have done in the last few years, my base weight is now down to right around 13 to 14 pounds, depending on the length of the trip and what I'm taking. I got down to ultralight. I got down to 10 pounds.
Wow.
Just under. I got to like 9.8, 9.9 for just an overnight, just for fun to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And decided I don't mind it on an overnight, but for a longer trip, they're just creature comforts that I want. Things like using your puffy jacket as your pillow. That's great until you have a cold night.
Right. Well, until you wake up with a stiff neck, because
exactly.
I like my pillow, and for me, I find that this is the creature comfort. The trade-off, right, is if I have a bad night's sleep, I have a shitty experience, and I want to have a good experience while I'm out. So if I bring a pillow, now I have found a pillow that weighs 2 ounces versus a pillow that weighs 6 or 8 ounces. So that's my, there's that give and take. Or if I want to take photos or I want to do video stuff, well, that's some extra weight that I'm going to put in there because that's what I want to do.
Exactly. So there's some things that are necessary, and I used to make a list: what I have to take, what I want to take, and what I, anything that I want to get rid of, kind of thing. So I would after a trip, I would make a spreadsheet and put everything in these categories.
Okay.
And for me, the pillow moved into the I have to have.
Yeah. Right. So traditional is all the way up to 20 pounds. So, there's some nut job that's carrying a 75-pound pack. Good on them. You're in the traditional category.
Yep. Well, you have to remember I'm a Marine, so I have done traditional.
Well, yeah, but they're carrying weapons and munitions and the like too.
Well, I was fortunate that I was in comm, so I still had a heavy pack when we had to play. But for the most part. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I swore I'd never go backpacking, just because of that.
Yeah. So the lightweight category, has that always been in the 10 to 20 pound range, or is it?
It used to be 12 to 20 pounds. The lightweight used to start at 12.
Okay.
And someone, and I believe it was the guy that runs Backpacking Light.
Mm-hmm.
Decided 10 pounds was an easier number.
So and the reality is to get to 20 pounds 10 years ago or 20 years ago was probably brutally hard.
Well, not really.
Much harder than it is now. How's that? Let me rephrase that.
Yeah, it's harder than now, but most people don't realize how lightweight the external frame packs actually used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't yes, there were heavy external frame packs, but Kelty made some relatively lightweight ones. So it was possible, but things like sleeping bags, tents, they have really decreased in size and weight.
So what's interesting about these categories was when you look at the ultralight, you're like, that's actually intimidating. And the super ultralight, I've heard a category called stupid ultralight.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really super ultralight or if that's just a general statement.
Yeah.
That can be a little intimidating for people. So I think remembering base weight is important. But let's just kind of talk about the whole why, the purpose. What's the whole concept of why in the world should people even care about this?
Well, for me, it was a matter of necessity because my body at 12 years ago could carry 50 pounds, but it wasn't going to last long. So a long day for me was 6-7 miles, maybe 8. A really long day would be 10 miles.
Sure.
Well, once I got down to lightweight, the longest day I've done is 22 or 23 miles in a day. And it's, you know, it's a lot of, I don't walk fast, I just walk consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So unless I'm going at elevation over a pass, I can average 1.5 miles to 2 miles an hour, but I can do that for 12 to 14 hours.
That's great. Okay.
And well, and I'm 70 years old, so I don't feel like it. For me, I think it's an accomplishment.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a wonderful goal to have. I like that idea of consistent, right? Now,
Yep.
I'm in a, what's funny is when I look at some of your gear and some of your weights, I'm like, I'm a little intimidated, but I realize I'm not that far off. I'm maybe 2 pounds different than you. I think I can get around 12 pounds for a very local trip, but
Right.
for a week, or, I mean, not even counting a bear can, because I would exclude
Yeah.
a bear can.
Right.
I'm maybe 13, 14. So it's, now granted, 6 ounces at 10, 12 pounds is a big deal. It's, I hike differently, right, than you do. Like,
Absolutely.
when we're talking about our setup, is, you know, it's like I do stupid stuff, like I'll do birthdays and bring parties in the truck. But that's what is important. That's valuable to me. And if you've got a different purpose, then absolutely you make this fit your purpose, or make it fit what you want your body to do.
Okay, but so I do some of the same things, but not quite as frivolous.
Sure.
I don't take inflatable flamingos or balloons, but I did take. Last year I was supposed to do a spring hike over Cinco de Mayo. I had dehydrated, freeze-dried salsa. I had freeze-dried pico de gallo. I had freeze-dried guacamole. I had freeze-dried margarita mix, and I had a container for 3 people of tequila, and I had everything planned out for having Cinco de Mayo, having margaritas, and having some chips and salsa.
Good on you.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'll go and do some frivolous things on food items, but not other things.
Sure. So you kind of talked about how it was more as you're aging, as you're just to kind of fit with your body, you went to light. Were there other reasons why you decided to go light?
Well, I decided what kind of hiking or camping I wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's in 2013, I decided after I retired, I wanted to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. I knew I couldn't do the whole thing at one time. I've done the JMT twice, and I had decided I wanted to start from Campo and see how far I got. And so in 8 years, I've done 1,300 miles. But, you know, it's like, you know, you like to go to the Sierras and do maybe an exploratory route. Well, I like to get up in the morning, pack all my stuff up, have my breakfast, and I get on the trail. And I stop for lunch, and then I don't stop until I get to camp, which is anywhere from 6 to 9.
Wow. Okay.
Depending on how long of a day or how many miles I want to do. We were talking earlier, this year we had mid to upper 90s for about 4 days of our trip. So I stopped in the middle of the day around 2 o'clock.
Nice.
Found a tree, and I would sit there and maybe sit there for an hour, get up and hike a little bit more, find another shady spot, sit down for a while, and then get serious about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I probably wouldn't get to camp until 8:30 or 9. But it's what I needed to do to be able to hike the amount of miles we wanted to do in the temperature.
Right. So it's certainly a case of hike your own hike and do what's right for you.
Yeah.
Cool. So if lightweight stuff serves you, fantastic. And maybe it's going to help you make more miles. Maybe it's going to make your trip more enjoyable. Maybe it'll make it so you have an easier day and you have more time to go swimming. Whatever it is, do you do you.
Or it may make it so I can do this longer.
There we go. I like that too. Right.
Yeah, because
that's something that's crossed my mind, because I'm in my mid 50s and it's like, I want to be able to do this for quite some time. And this is,
See, I'm thinking I can reach the Oregon border in 2 years, 2 more years.
Okay.
And so I will have walked, and I plan to do the one section I have down here to do. I have walked it from the Mexican border all the way to Oregon.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'll do more of the trail, but that's my goal now.
So I'm going to remind people we're at the halfway point. It always goes quick. So if you got questions for Jim, just put them in the chat or the Q&A and we'll catch them at the end. So tell me a little bit about what you do before the trip and what you do after the trip. You talked about some notes and stuff that you kept.
Okay, so Dan and I talked about it earlier. I make a spreadsheet. I used to do it on the computer, but I have found for myself a piece of graph paper, and I take my time and I write out, and I do a spreadsheet of basically everything I'm going to take. And I don't know if you can, if this will come out, but this is basically what I'm taking. This is what I did. I built this in 2018. Oh, this is the one afterwards. So it's the top part, and over here was what the top part, and then over here was what I was taking. And then this bottom part and down here were what didn't work and what I'd like to change. And so I do that every year.
So it sounds like you've got a system there that's a closed loop, right? It's
right.
This is what I'm planning on. This is what I took. This is how it worked, and this is what I'm going to change for next year. Right. And
so you have a copy of my spreadsheet that I did. I think that's 2016. That was that 2016? That was the year, I think, Dave. Well, that's the year that you picked me up. You picked Dave and I up.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that was 2016 that I made this spreadsheet.
Okay.
Now, the only thing I changed is the pack. I went with a slightly larger pack, but that's basically what I took in 2016.
So for everybody that's on right now, I will save this to Google Docs and put a link in the YouTube so you can get at this and copy it and tweak it as you like. So, but we do need to recognize that Jim is measuring in grams. So I am not.
There's both.
I know. I know that. I am not as committed. I'm doing ounces and pounds.
So that was your attempt to call me a Graham weenie is what I heard.
Did those words come out of my mouth?
What I heard.
I did not say that.
So we talked about it before, Dan. The things I did to lighten up was when I took the class, I said, well, I got to take sunscreen. So I grabbed my 7-ounce bottle of sunscreen.
Sure.
Okay. And it wasn't for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years later, I'm going, well, that's probably, that 1-ounce bottle is a week's worth of sunscreen.
Right.
But because of how much I'm covered up.
Yeah. That's something I talked about in Sandra and I talked about clothing. Long sleeve, long pants, you get face and hands. And
exactly.
And your hands, if you're wearing gloves.
Yep. I wear the sun gloves, so it's my face and neck.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that I had talked about was something as simple as when we took the class, they said, well, you have to have an Nalgene. And it should be the hard plastic because we don't want one of those lightweight, the white Nalgenes, because that might break.
This one you could drive
hot water.
This one, honestly, you could drive over it with a truck and it would be fine.
I have broken one of these before.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah. It was full. I dropped it. It landed on a rock and broke the cap. I have, so I went to smart water bottles. This is Aquafina, but the instead of a 6 ounce, 7 ounce bottle, I went to a 1.4 ounce bottle. And if people don't want to use single use bottles, which my single use bottle is for a year or two.
Yeah, it's getting multiple.
So if you don't want to use single use bottles, there's a lot of lightweight poly bottles out there that are made for bikers or
right. So that was
there's a lot of small things.
But that was only 4 or 5 ounces that you saved in the water bottle. But 4 or 5 ounces plus another 4 or 5 ounces plus something here plus something there.
Okay, so when it's full, it's 2.2 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's in this bottle, it's 2.6 pounds.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I look at it like that. Everything, my entire pack, as Cheryl used to say, is made up of 3 ounce items. Because it all adds up.
Right. Okay.
And you and I talked about how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And especially most of us don't have unlimited money. I'm retired, so I do. But what I would pick 1 or 2 items a year that I would think about replacing, and then I would spend 2 to 3 months researching to see what I wanted, and then waiting for sales.
Right.
And sooner or later, if it was a cottage industry company, or one of the big ones, or one of the Moose Jaw, or one of those, sooner or later I could find things on sale.
Now, something that I did that's going to really reveal my inner nerdiness was what you're going to find is that the big 3, the pack, the sleeping bag. What am I missing? Pack, sleeping bag. Oh, and tent. Pardon me. The big 3. Right. Those are the easiest things to reduce the weight on, and you can do them they're big ticket items, but you could spend $300 and make a big improvement on your base weight.
Right.
But get past that, then it's going to get a lot harder. Or to jump from the 5-pound tent to a 2-pound tent. Wow, that's dramatic. But to get below a 2-pound tent, you're going to have to really make some changes. So my last gear changes, I sat down and actually did an Excel sheet and said, dollars per ounce I'm going to lose. I said, I've got this sleeping pad.
Yeah.
For this one, it's going to be $22 to lose an ounce.
Yep.
Ooh, that was actually really good, because to change this tent is going to be $45 to lose an ounce.
Yeah.
Because that tent that I want is $450.
Yeah.
Ooh. So actually, I just looked at my bank account and I think I saved up enough for a DTF.
But the other thing is, as you get lighter, say the tent, the bulk gets smaller.
True. Ooh.
Okay, so going from a sleeping bag to a quilt, and going from a 2-person Kelty tent down to a Big Agnes or a tarp tent, 2-person tent, you have saved probably 3-4 pounds,
mm-hmm.
but you've also reduced your pack size.
Yeah.
So now, once you have reduced those things, then you can go to a smaller pack. I went from, I still have my old pack. This is my 70-liter Aether 70 Osprey. Yeah. It's a great pack, and I still save it just for
demonstration,
for snow camp.
Oh, okay.
Just bad snow camp years, but this was 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you saw I had stuff hanging off of it. I had the tent on the outside. Well, on my 40-liter pack now, everything was inside of it.
Right.
The only thing on the backside I had was my sit pad. And I had another sit pad up on top, but that's all that was on the outside.
So
my water bottle pockets, but
something that just occurred to me that we didn't talk about beforehand is the experience and the trade-off on gear. So let's say there's a new hiker who's like, I'm going to go ultralight, or I'm going to jump right to lightweight, and I'm going to, because I'm only want to buy my gear once.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very difficult without the experience.
Yeah.
As Dave can attest to, we found that we had picked correctly when we did a 10-day Sierra trip with 5 days of rain. That will prove that you came up with a good kit.
Mm-hmm.
On our last day at Crabtree Meadow, we were out getting ready to pack up, and Dave looked in his tent and said something looked odd. Well, not a tent, it was in his tarp. His pad was floating. That's how much water there was.
Wow.
Crabtree Meadow had totally saturated.
Wow.
So, but it's one of those things that I think with experience, or going with experienced people, you can learn how to do it safely.
True. So we got just a few minutes left. So Doug has a really good comment. He says, smaller packs make it harder to take unnecessary items.
That's absolutely. The larger the pack, the more you're going to take.
The one I remember from high school chemistry class is the gas will expand to fill the volume of a container, and you will fill up a backpack with other crap. Like, well, maybe just this. I got the room.
Yep.
And then you're at the 50-pound pack if you aren't careful.
And the more straps on the outside, the more things you can put on the outside too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a good point. I think on my journey, and I think it really is a journey, right? I think my journey, I started off with the synthetic long bag. So it's extra long and synthetic.
Yeah.
So it compressed down to this big. I had to have that 60 or 70 liter pack.
Yeah.
Now, once I went to just a down sleeping bag, I changed size. Once I went to a down quilt, even went smaller.
Right.
And when I went to a one-person tent instead of a two-person tent. So there's that you kind of talk the progression. I think the other thing is the experience, and then your understanding, and then your comfort with your fears, right? So for one that's been a stumbling block for me is I am very comfortable with tents, double wall or single wall. I'm totally comfortable with it. But getting to a single wall tent might be a challenge for some people. Then beyond a single wall tent, it's getting to a tarp or a bivvy, right? And for me, that's maybe I'll get there, maybe I'm not. And the other one for me is a frameless pack, right? I'm still in a pack with the frame. I have a relatively light Osprey pack.
Right.
It hovers right around 2 pounds because I pulled the lid off and I've modified it just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, this wouldn't be the 58, would it?
It is a 58. It's a 58 without a lid.
It wouldn't be the one I sold you, would it?
Here's a plug for Osprey. Jim sold me an Osprey 58. I used it for about 3 years, and I tore it one time on a trip, and I realized I couldn't fix it at home. I contacted Osprey, and they said, just wash it, and we will repair it or replace it. They sent me a brand new pack that I bought for you. I bought from you it was great that you could resell something and make decent money off of it. And
Exactly.
I got a brand new pack out of the deal.
Exactly.
I took it out on the trail the next year, and I don't know if I lost weight or I finally realized that this pack is too big for me. So I ended up gifting it to my brother, and I bought a new one on sale. It's like, stock a full, right? So, okay, well, we're completely out of time. Jim, I want to thank you for sharing what you know and sharing your list, right? Because we'll put that online so everybody can see it. We appreciate it. Next week, we're going to be doing travelogue style. We're going to talk about the Lost Coast Trail. And Hiker Karen's going to be on with us. So Hiker Karen's in Montana now. Yeah, that's what's kind of cool about Zoom is we can do stuff remote. So she'll
That's
come.
cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I haven't talked with her in a while, so I'll do the prep. So that's what's up for next week. Thanks for everybody for joining us. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Jim, thanks again. We do appreciate it.
Anytime.
Okay. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
See ya.
Bye now.